It's 11:47 p.m. on a Tuesday. You're standing in a gas station you've been to 100 times, holding a piece of paper worth more than every professional athlete's contract combined. Every celebrity mansion. Every private jet you've ever seen in a music video. All of it, in your hand, printed on 40 cents of receipt paper. You check the numbers on your phone. Then the ticket. Then the phone again. Your hands are shaking so badly you can barely read the screen. $800 million. Not a metaphor. Not a someday. A number so large your brain physically cannot process it as real money, because it isn't, really. Not yet. It's potential. It's a live grenade with no idea how to defuse it. And here's the part nobody warns you about: the moment you realize you've won isn't euphoria. It's terror. Because in this exact second, you know something that could get you kidnapped, extorted, sued, or torn apart by the people who love you most, and you have absolutely no idea what to do next. This is the story of what actually happens in the minutes, weeks, and years after a win like this, if you're smart enough, and disciplined enough, to survive it. Rule number 1, and it isn't optional: you tell absolutely no one. Not your spouse over dinner. Not your best friend over a beer. Not even in a whisper, because whispers become stories, and stories become targets. Every financial advisor who has handled a jackpot winner will tell you the same brutal statistic: the fastest way to destroy a life-changing win isn't bad investing. It's people. Roughly a third of lottery winners eventually face bankruptcy. Not because the money vanished on its own, because it was pulled apart, piece by piece, by everyone who found out. So for the next 72 hours, your job isn't to celebrate. It's to disappear into your own life like nothing happened, while quietly making 3 moves. Move 1, secure the physical ticket. This flimsy piece of paper is now a bearer instrument, meaning whoever physically holds it can, in many states, claim the prize. You photograph both sides. You sign the back immediately, because an unsigned ticket is a finder's keeper's nightmare. Then it goes into a bank safe deposit box, not a kitchen drawer, not a jacket pocket. Move 2, you don't quit your job. You don't buy anything. You don't so much as upgrade your coffee order. Any sudden behavioral shift is a flare in the sky for anyone paying attention: coworkers, neighbors, even strangers on social media who've learned to spot the signs of a winner in hiding. Move 3, you start looking quietly for a lawyer, before you tell a single soul, including the lottery commission, because what you do in these first 3 days determines whether this money builds a dynasty or detonates one, and this is where most people get it wrong. They assume the hardest part is winning. It isn't. The hardest part is staying quiet long enough to get protected. Here's a fact most people don't know: in a handful of states, you're legally allowed to stay completely anonymous. In most others, you're not. Your name becomes public record the moment you claim. So before you claim anything, you need to know exactly which category your ticket falls into, because that single detail changes your entire strategy. If you're lucky enough to be in an anonymity state, the play is simple but powerful. You don't claim as yourself. You claim as an entity. Think of a blind trust like a locked box with someone else holding the key on your behalf. Legally, the trust owns the ticket and eventually the winnings, not you personally. Your name is never printed on a press release. Never searchable, never sitting in a public database for a stranger to find at 2 a.m. Alongside the trust, many winners also form an anonymous LLC, essentially a corporate mask. The LLC claims the prize, deposits the money, and pays your bills, while you remain the invisible owner behind a wall of legal paperwork an attorney built specifically to keep your name off the front page. But none of this works if you assemble it yourself. This is the point in the story where you hire what advisors call the dream team, and you do it in a very specific order, and very quietly. First, an attorney who specializes in lottery winners specifically, not your cousin's divorce lawyer. Not the guy who did your home closing. Someone who has walked other winners through this exact maze and knows which loopholes are real and which ones are urban legend. Second, a fee-only fiduciary wealth manager. The word fiduciary matters more than almost anything else in this entire story, because it means this person is legally required to act in your best interest, not sell you products that earn them a commission. This is the difference between someone protecting your money and someone quietly bleeding it. Third, a CPA who specializes in high net worth tax strategy, because the IRS is about to become the single largest stakeholder in your win, and how you structure your claim can mean the difference between losing 37% and losing considerably less through smart timing and structuring, and every single meeting happens under a non-disclosure agreement. Every assistant, every paralegal, every person who so much as glances at your file signs one. Because the fortress is only as strong as its weakest, most talkative link. Now comes the decision that shapes the rest of your life, and it happens almost immediately. Lump sum, or 30-year annuity. The advertised 800 million is the annuity number, money paid out in installments over 3 decades. Take the lump sum instead, and the actual cash value drops dramatically, often to somewhere around half that headline figure, before taxes even enter the picture. It sounds brutal. It sounds like losing. But here's the counterintuitive truth almost every serious wealth manager agrees on. For most winners, the lump sum is actually the smarter play, not because it's bigger, but because it hands you control. Invested responsibly, that lump sum, even after taxes, has the potential to outgrow the annuity's slow drip over time. And control, in this story, is worth more than the raw number on the check. Once the money lands, the single most important habit is one nobody expects. For the first 6 to 12 months, you do almost nothing with it. It sits in ultra-safe, liquid places, treasury bills, high-yield savings, short-term CDs, quietly earning interest while you build your long-term plan without pressure. This parking period is where most self-made fortunes are actually protected, because it's also where the sharks begin circling. The too good to be true investment pitches, the friend of a friend with a can't miss business. The private jet salesman who somehow already has your number. A good fiduciary's entire job in this phase is saying no on your behalf, over and over, until the noise dies down and a real, diversified strategy, index funds, municipal bonds, real estate, and yes, some calculated risk, can be built without emotion driving the decisions. Here's the part the headlines never cover. The money is the easy problem. The secret is the hard one. You are now living a completely different life than everyone around you, and you can't tell a single one of them why. Every conversation about money, rent going up, a friend stressed about their car payment, now happens with you holding a piece of knowledge that could end the friendship the second it's spoken out loud. Psychologists who study sudden wealth call this golden cage syndrome. The sense of being simultaneously free and completely trapped, because freedom without connection starts to feel a lot like solitary confinement. So how do winners who actually keep their sanity handle it? Almost universally. The advice is the same: find one, and only one, outlet. A therapist bound by confidentiality, not a friend. Someone whose entire job is holding your reality without judgment, so the weight doesn't sit on your chest alone for years. And when it comes to helping the people you love, because you will want to, desperately, the smartest winners do it in ways that never trace back to a windfall. An anonymous scholarship fund set up through the trust. A work bonus that quietly clears a family member's debt. A mortgage that mysteriously gets easier to manage after a refinance your attorney arranged behind the scenes, not because you don't trust them. Because the moment even one person suspects the true size of this win, the secret stops being yours to control. Lifestyle creep is the other silent threat. $800 million feels infinite, until private jets, 5 homes, and a rotating circle of friends turn it into a burn rate that could hollow it out inside a decade. The winners who make this money last generations are the ones who upgrade slowly, deliberately, and privately. A nicer house, not 5 houses, a paid financial team, not a public spending spree. So what does $800 million actually buy you? Once the trust is signed, the attorneys are paid, and the secret has finally settled into something manageable. It's not the cars. It's not the houses. It's the ability to sit in a doctor's office and never once think about the bill. It's watching a family member's health scare unfold and knowing, absolutely, that money will never be the thing standing between them and the best possible care. It's the freedom to say no to a job that drains you, and yes to the version of your life you'd actually choose if fear of money never entered the equation again. The ticket that changed everything didn't hand you happiness. It handed you options, and options, protected quietly and used wisely, are the closest thing real wealth has to a happy ending.